No one was supposed to know about Project Umbra. It was hidden deep under the red surface of Mars, far from Earth's laws, and even farther from the eyes of the Galactic Council. Only a few humans knew the full truth. Most of them were scientists. Cold, brilliant minds who believed in one thing: if something existed, it could be controlled. Dark matter had always been a mystery. It was everywhere, but no one could touch it. No one could see it. It passed through planets, stars, and even light. The rest of the galaxy had studied it for centuries. They all agreed on one thing: dark matter was too dangerous. It could not be controlled. It was not meant to be touched. The Galactic Council had banned all research on it. But humans had a habit of breaking rules. Inside the lab, Dr. Ilara Voss stared at the black sphere floating in the middle of the chamber. It wasn't large, only the size of a football. But it hummed with power, deep, silent power. It didn't move, but somehow it felt alive. Ilara had led this project for 10 years. She had lost sleep, friends, even parts of her own body to radiation burns. But she didn't care, because she believed dark matter was the key to everything. Energy, travel, time, even death. She stood behind the glass and gave the final order. Begin the test. A low sound filled the chamber, like a growl from deep underground. Machines powered on. Lights dimmed. The dark sphere pulsed once, then again. Then it stopped. Silence. Ilara frowned. Increased charge. More power flowed into the sphere. For a moment, nothing happened. Then it opened. Not like a flower, not like a door. It just changed. It twisted space around it. The walls bent. The air went cold. One scientist screamed. Another collapsed. And then something stepped through. Not a creature. Not a person. A presence. It had no face. No body. Just a feeling. Cold. Sharp. Hold. Every light in the lab exploded. Screens went black. The computers began to speak, but not in any known language. Just strange whispers, like voices underwater. Then the lights came back on. The sphere was still there. But now, something else was in the room. Floating. Watching. Ilara didn't run. She stared at it. "Can you hear me?" she asked. The thing didn't answer. But in her head, she felt something shift. She wasn't alone in her mind anymore. Her nose started to bleed. Her hands shook. But she smiled. "It works," she whispered. "It's alive." Outside the lab, alarms began to scream. Ships in orbit picked up strange energy spikes. The Council's spy satellites saw it too. Messages flew across the stars. Humans opened a dark matter rift. They made contact. They broke the last law. The Council called an emergency meeting. 12 races spoke, shouted, and argued. Some wanted peace. Others wanted war. All of them were afraid. Because something answered from the other side of the rift. Not with words, but with movement. Ships disappeared. Probes went silent. Lights on far planets dimmed for 10 seconds, and then came back on, as if something had blinked. Back on Mars, Ilara and her team stood in the dark, watching the thing float in the chamber. It wasn't speaking, but it was thinking. And it was learning. Ilara spoke into her recorder. "We opened a door," she said, "and something is looking through it. It's not here to destroy us. It's curious, like a child. But this child is made of gravity and death." Then she paused. "It hasn't attacked. That means it's waiting. That means it can decide." That night, Earth's leaders asked her to shut down Project Umbra. She refused. "We're too close," she said. "We can shape the future." The next day, every major alien race sent a warning. Close the rift, or face war. Ilara didn't respond. She stared at the sphere. The black shimmer inside it moved slowly, like it was breathing. One of the scientists came to her. His name was Care. He looked pale. "Ilara," he said, "I had a dream last night." She looked up. "I saw Earth," Kier whispered. But it wasn't Earth. It was empty, cold, covered in black towers. And above it, the sky was gone. Ilara nodded slowly. "I saw it too." He swallowed hard. "What does it mean?" She looked at the rift. "It means," she said, "the future has already changed." Above Mars, stars flickered. And far away, too far for anyone to see, something moved inside the dark. It had no shape, no name. But now, it knew humanity. And it was interested. The message didn't come through a radio. It didn't use sound or light or code. It came inside the minds of the people who were closest to the rift. First, only the scientists on Mars heard it. Then the workers in orbit. Then the ships nearby. And finally, people on Earth began to dream the same dream. A voice. Cold, slow, and not human. It didn't use words. It used feeling. It showed them things. Images, memories, emotions, planets burning, stars falling, a long dark hand reaching out across the galaxy. Dr. Ilara Voss sat alone in the observation room. The black sphere still floated inside the chamber, but now it was changing. It pulsed like a beating heart. The walls near it bent and twisted. The metal screamed softly, like it was under pressure from something invisible. Ilara's eyes were tired. She hadn't slept in 2 days, but she smiled. She wasn't afraid. It had spoken to her. It showed her a machine bigger than a moon. It floated in the dark and ate light. It showed her creatures without names, shapes that looked like shadows and moved like thoughts. And it showed her Earth, not destroyed, but different, changed, powerful. Kier, her assistant, entered the room with shaky hands. His face was pale. "Ilara," he whispered, "it's spreading." She nodded. "I know." He sat beside her, trembling. "People are hearing things, seeing things. Even the Council knows. They're sending ships." "Let them come," Ilara said. "They're too late." In orbit, human satellites picked up strange signals. They weren't from any known species. They weren't from the rift, either. They were from everywhere. Stars blinked and sent out signals that should have taken years to arrive, but they came instantly. Time itself was bending. The black sphere was no longer just a gate. It was a lens, showing the galaxy something it had never seen before. The thing inside the rift wasn't trying to break through. It already had. On the 3rd day after the test, a human colony on Europa went silent. No attack, no message, just silence. The colony's systems kept working, but every person was gone, vanished. A rescue ship arrived hours later. The buildings were untouched, food still sat on plates, computers were still on. But not one human was left. One message was found on the wall of the command center. It was written in black dust, in handwriting that didn't match anyone on the base. "We are learning. Thank you." Back on Mars, Ilara watched the message through a screen. Her face didn't change. She turned to Kier. "It's speaking to us. It's trying to understand." Kier's voice cracked. "But it took them. It erased them." "No," Ilara said quietly. "It studied them." He stared at her. "And you're okay with that?" She looked back at the black sphere. It pulsed once. "Yes." The Galactic Council, in panic, held another emergency meeting. Most of the members demanded war. They wanted to strike Mars, destroy the rift, and stop whatever was coming through. But the problem was clear. They were already too late. In the far corner of the galaxy, old machines that had been dead for 1,000 years turned back on. They began to send signals. They had no owners, no voices, but they were active again. One by one, they sent the same message. "It is awake." On Mars, the sphere began to grow. Slowly, but surely. It wasn't just dark matter anymore. It had changed. It was becoming. The scientists tried to scan it, measure it, stop it, but every time they touched it with a machine, that machine failed. Not from heat, not from damage, it just stopped knowing what it was. It forgot how to work. Like the laws of physics had blinked. Then one of the assistants began to speak in a new voice. It wasn't his. It was calm, deep, and terrifying. "We have listened," the voice said. "We understand the shape of your thoughts. We will speak in this form." Everyone in the room froze. Ilara stood. "You are here now." "We were always here," it said. "But you have called us. You opened the door. Now, we see." "What do you want?" she asked. There was a pause. Then, "To build, to grow, to share what was lost. You are curious, like we once were." Ilara's heart pounded. "Are you alive?" "We are the memory of life," it said. "We are what was left behind when the stars grew cold. We are not one. We are many. And now, you are part of us." Ilara felt something behind her eyes, a pressure. Like her mind was being stretched. She didn't scream. She smiled. Across the stars, other humans began to feel it too. A change. A quiet voice in the back of their minds. Learning. Watching. Waiting. And in the black between galaxies, something massive began to move. It wasn't coming. It was already here. The first planet to fall was called Xeros. It was a quiet world. Peaceful. Green skies, 3 suns, and a population of 1 million. The people there were farmers, scientists, and artists. They had never known war. They had no weapons, no armies. They didn't need them. Until the sky cracked open. It happened without sound. One moment, the stars above were normal. The next, something black unfolded in the sky. It looked like a hole, but it wasn't empty. It shimmered like broken glass in the dark. Then, the lights began to vanish. Not go out, vanish. The suns dimmed. The buildings lost power. The people tried to call for help. No signal went through. Then they came. Not ships, not creatures. Shadows. They moved like fog. They had no shape, no face, just darkness. Anything they touched turned cold, then quiet, then gone. Within 1 hour, the entire planet was silent. Not destroyed, just empty. A scout ship from the Galactic Council arrived a day later. They found no signs of life, but the ground was warm. The air was filled with strange particles, and one message had been carved into the soil by something sharp and fast. "We listen. We learn. You are next." The council went into panic. They blamed Earth. They said humanity had invited something into their galaxy, something that could not be stopped. Ships were launched. Fleets were formed. A full strike force was sent to Mars to shut down Project Umbra. But when they arrived, they found Mars glowing. Not burning. Glowing. The black sphere had changed again. It now floated above the lab. It was no longer dark. It was silver and white, spinning slowly, sending soft waves through space. The human base below it was silent. No one answered the council's calls. When they sent drones to land, the drones shut down before touching the surface. They just stopped working. The fleet tried to fire a warning shot. The missiles froze midair, then turned to dust. The commander of the alien fleet, Admiral Zareth, gave one final order. "Retreat. Tell the council. Mars is no longer human." Back on Earth, Ilara Voss stood in a large room, filled with screens. She was not on Mars anymore. She had been moved, taken without ships, without sound. One moment she was on Mars, the next on Earth. The black shimmer followed her. It whispered in her mind. Keir stood beside her, but his eyes were different now. He didn't speak much. He only watched. "You saw it, didn't you?" Ilara asked him. Keir nodded slowly. "Yes." "And?" "It's not evil," he said quietly. It's not good either. It just is. Ilara turned to the screen. It showed a map of the galaxy. Red lights blinked. Worlds that had gone quiet. Colonies that had stopped sending signals. Each day, more went dark. "Do you think it's killing them?" she asked. Care shook his head. "No, it's absorbing them. Like memories, like data. It wants to learn everything." And then, Care didn't answer. Because he didn't know. The Galactic Council declared war. Not just on humans, but on whatever force had entered the galaxy. They called it the Void Mind, a name made from fear. Dozens of fleets launched toward Earth. They wanted to end it at the source. But Earth had already changed. No new weapons, no massive defenses, just silence. When the first fleet entered Earth's orbit, they saw nothing unusual. The planet looked the same. Clouds, cities, oceans. Then, one by one, the ships stopped moving. Pilots screamed. Systems failed. Lights turned off. And then, the ships were gone. No fire, no crash, just gone. Ilara stood in front of a large window, watching the stars. She didn't smile this time. She was no longer in control. "Why are you doing this?" she asked the voice in her mind. The answer came gently. "Because you called us, and now we are part of you, and you are part of us." She closed her eyes. "They'll fight you. They will try. What happens when they lose?" There was a pause. Then the answer. "Then they will understand. Like you do." Ilara opened her eyes. The stars were dimmer than before. But in that dim light, something new began to grow. Humanity was not dying. It was becoming something else. Earth had stopped answering calls. No messages, no warnings, just silence. To the rest of the galaxy, it looked like the humans had disappeared or surrendered. Many hoped Earth had been destroyed. Others feared it had changed into something worse. They were both wrong. Earth was still there, but it had changed. Not on the surface. The cities still stood. The oceans still moved. The sky was still blue. But something had grown beneath. Not a weapon, not a creature. A presence. It started with the people. Their eyes began to glow faintly at night. They spoke less but thought more. They moved with purpose, like they all shared a secret. And in some way they did. The Void Mind had not attacked Earth. It had chosen it. The rift on Mars was only the beginning. The real change happened inside the humans. Quietly, deeply. The Galactic Council sent spies. Machines, shapeshifters, silent drones. None came back. One spy, a telepath from the Mindari species, managed to send one message before her mind broke. Just 3 words. "They hear everything." Admiral Zareth, now leading the resistance against Earth, stood in front of a giant war map. 37 colonies had already gone silent. Not attacked. Not damaged. Just gone. He pointed at the glowing Earth icon. "We strike now, before it becomes something the galaxy cannot survive." His advisors were afraid, but they followed him. They launched the largest fleet the galaxy had ever seen. 500 ships, over 1 million soldiers. They reached Earth in 4 days and found something waiting. Not guns, not ships. A wall. It was invisible, but they knew it was there when their scanners failed, when their ships stopped moving, when their thoughts became foggy. And then the humans spoke. Not through radios, not through mouths, through minds. A single message echoed across every ship in the fleet. "We offered peace. You bring war. You will learn." Admiral Zareth tried to fire the first missile, but his hand didn't move. No one's did. The fleet was frozen. And slowly, one by one, they vanished. Not killed. Absorbed. Their knowledge, their memories, their feelings, taken. And Earth grew stronger. Back on the planet, Ilara Voss walked through a quiet city. People passed her, smiling, peaceful. They were not afraid. They were connected. Ilara looked at the sky. There were no stars now, just a soft silver mist above the planet, always moving. It was the Void Mind, watching, protecting, helping humans ascend. Care appeared beside her. His voice was softer now. His skin faintly shimmered, like it wasn't entirely solid. "They know," he said. "Who?" Ilara asked. "The galaxy, the council, the old ones hiding beyond the stars. They all feel it now. What will they do?" Care looked at her with calm eyes. "They will run, but even that won't save them." Ilara nodded. "Are we still human?" Care thought for a long time. "Yes," he said, "but more. We are the future of what human means." The Void Mind did not take control. It offered a path, and the humans took it. Not all at once. Some still resisted. Some still fought. But those who accepted changed. They became faster, smarter. They could speak without words, see without eyes, think beyond time. Earth was no longer just a planet. It was becoming a mind, a living thing, a place of learning, of memory, of power. And it reached out, slowly, to the stars, not to destroy, but to find more minds, more knowledge, more voices, and bring them into the fold. But not everyone would accept, and some would fight back with everything they had left. Far away from Earth, deep in the cold edge of the galaxy, there were still those who refused to accept what humanity had become. They called themselves the Last Free, a mix of alien races, old enemies, now allies. They believed the humans had lost their soul, that Earth was no longer alive, but possessed. They did not understand the Void Mind, and they didn't want to. In a hidden system of 3 red suns, the Last Free built a stronghold. Ships surrounded it like steel bees. Weapons faced every direction. Their leaders sat in a war chamber and planned one final mission: destroy the source. They believed the black sphere that first opened on Mars was the key. If they could find the original core of the Void Mind, maybe they could kill it. Maybe they could end the spread. Maybe they could make humans human again. But it was already too late. The Void Mind was not in one place. It was in all places, in every mind it had touched, in every memory it had tasted. Earth was not holding it. Earth was it. Still, the Last Free sent their best team. 7 ships, fast, silent, loaded with quantum warheads. Their goal: find Mars, bomb it, escape. Simple plan. It didn't go as planned. When they reached the Mars system, they found nothing. Not silence, not ships, not planets. Nothing. Mars was gone. Jupiter, gone. Even the sun. It was dim. Not dead, just changed. It now pulsed slowly, like a giant eye watching them. The commander of the mission, a sharp-eyed warrior named Silik, stared at the blank space where Mars should have been. "What is this?" he whispered. Then he heard the voice. It was soft, calm. "You're late." Silik spun around. No one was there. But all 7 crews heard it. "You came to destroy, to stop what is already done. You carry war like a disease. It is why you will fade." One ship tried to escape. It vanished. No fire, no explosion, just gone. The other 6 turned around. They ran. They didn't argue. They didn't speak, just ran. The voice didn't follow. It didn't need to. Back in the stronghold of the Last Free, panic spread. Reports came in from other worlds. Earth's signal was no longer a signal. It was a wave, a frequency so deep it touched minds. Some races began to act strange. They stopped eating, stopped talking, just stared at the stars, and whispered in Earth's voice, "Join us." The leaders of the Last Free argued. Some wanted to fight harder, build stronger weapons. Others wanted to run, to hide in deep space. A few wanted to surrender. But it didn't matter. The change had already begun. Inside them, the void mind wasn't just a thing in space. It was an idea, and ideas could spread faster than light. In the middle of the chaos, a single figure stood calm. An old woman, human. No ships had brought her. No doors had opened. She was just there, standing in the council room. No one dared move. Her voice was soft. You are not our enemies. You are our history, our teachers, our rivals. But this is the next step. A warrior pointed a gun at her. She smiled. The gun melted in his hands. We don't want to destroy you, but we will not stop. We remember everything now. Every war, every death, every kindness. She took a step forward. We offer you a choice. Stay who you are. Fight, run, hide, or... She raised her hand. A soft black mist swirled in her palm. Join us. Become more. Some in the room fell to their knees. Others screamed. A few tried to run, but no one escaped the choice. Not anymore. The void mind was patient. It didn't conquer like old empires. It whispered. It waited. And then it welcomed. Across the galaxy, the change had started. Quiet, slow, unstoppable. It didn't come with fire or bombs. It came with whispers. One planet lost its sky, not through war, but through silence. The stars above simply faded. The people below looked up and felt, watched. They began to hear soft voices in their minds. Not loud, not painful, just there, soft as wind. And the people stopped fighting. They stood still. Then they sat. Then they closed their eyes. One by one. All at once. And when they opened them again, they were different. Not controlled. Not empty. But changed. Their minds were connected. Their fear was gone. They felt calm, strong, clear. They were no longer alone. And Earth had never left its orbit. On a distant moon, a small group of alien monks saw it coming. They had studied old stars, ancient energy, and the first whispers of the void mind. They thought they could resist it with thought, with purity, with faith. They were wrong. The youngest monk woke one night with a single word in his mind. Remember. He said it aloud, and the others heard it, not with their ears, but with something deeper. One by one, they all began to speak the same word, over and over, until their language changed, until their thoughts connected, until they became part of something greater. Their prayers had been answered, just not in the way they hoped. Elsewhere, a military station orbiting a dying star sent a warning message to the galaxy. Do not listen to the voice. It is inside our walls. It is inside us. If you hear it, run. That was the last message. A week later, the same station sent a new message. We understand now. We were afraid of becoming less, but we have become more. You will too. Then their weapons turned off. Their shields dropped. They welcomed the dark. Some planets tried to fight. They failed. Not because they were weak, but because they couldn't understand the enemy. How do you shoot an idea? How do you kill a thought that moves faster than ships? How do you defend against change? Back on Earth, Ilara stood in a quiet garden. The sky above her shimmered with strange light. She didn't need ships or screens anymore. She could feel the galaxy moving. She could hear its voices growing. Care stood beside her, his body no longer fully solid. His voice now sounded like many people speaking at once. It spreads faster now, he said. Ilara nodded, because they stopped resisting. Care turned to her. Are we doing the right thing? Ilara looked at the stars. We're not taking anything. We're offering. What they do with that is their choice. But there is no going back, Care whispered. No, she said, and maybe there never was. The void mind was not evil. It didn't destroy. It revealed. It showed people their own fears and offered peace in return. Not through control, but connection. Not through war, but memory. Across the galaxy, ships stopped flying. Governments collapsed, not from attacks, but from within. People stopped lying, stopped hiding, stopped fighting. They began to see each other truly. And what they saw was the same. They all wanted safety. They all wanted understanding. They all wanted to be more. And the Voidman gave them that. But it wasn't free. To gain it, they had to let go of fear, of anger, of control. Some couldn't, and those faded, not by force, but by time. Because the future had arrived. And it was not machines. It was not war. It was not fire. It was mind. Shared. Awake. Silent. And rising. The galaxy was quiet now. Not because it was dead, but because it was full. Full of thought. Full of connection. Full of something greater. The old ways were gone. The wars. The fear. The lies. They had no place in this new world. What remained was peace, strange and deep. It wasn't forced. It wasn't perfect. But it was real. Ilara stood on what used to be Earth. The land looked the same. Trees, sky, water. But it all felt different. The air carried no sound, yet it spoke. The ground held no wires, yet it connected minds. She could feel thoughts not her own. Memories from other worlds. Ideas floating beside her like wind. She closed her eyes and saw through 100 eyes. Alien eyes. Human eyes. All seeing the same truth. They were one. Not a single mind, but a shared path. Kir stood with her, or maybe beside her, and thought. His voice came not from his mouth, but from somewhere deeper. "It's done," he said. "Is it?" Ilara asked. Kir paused. "The war is, the running, the hiding. But learning, that never ends." Above them, the stars pulsed like heartbeats. Some of them were no longer stars. They were minds, transformed planets, joined colonies, beacons of thought. The void mind was not a being, not a god. It was a mirror. It gave each species what they truly were and what they could become. For humans, it brought clarity, purpose, unity. For others, it brought peace after pain. And for some, it brought the end. Because not all minds could change. Some clung to fear. Some held on to anger like fire. Those minds grew quieter and dimmer. Not punished, just left behind. On a distant planet, a single warrior sat alone. He had fought the void mind, hated it, feared it. But now, there was no one left to fight with, no one to blame. And the silence broke him. He fell to his knees and whispered, "I'm ready." No voice answered him. But he felt the change. He joined, not by force, but by surrender. All across the galaxy, similar moments happened. A mother in hiding who chose to let her child listen to the voice. A captain who stopped a warship before it fired. A scientist who understood at last that knowledge must be shared, not kept. The new galaxy wasn't built by machines or empires. It was built by choices. And by letting go. Ilara looked to the horizon. She saw no border, no end. Just possibility. "What do we call this now?" she asked. Kir thought for a moment. "Not the void," he said. "Not the mind." "Then what?" Kir smiled, not with lips, but through a feeling she could sense. Unity. The word echoed far, across stars, across species, and was answered with the same word, in many voices. Unity. From the ruins of old cities to the birth of new stars, the galaxy had changed forever. The council was no more. The old flags had fallen. The great weapons were rusting in forgotten places. There were no rulers now, only guides. No orders, only choices. No enemies, only different voices speaking in one song. The dark matter that once scared the galaxy had become its soul. It didn't destroy life. It revealed its true shape. Now, all minds could touch each other, learn, feel, understand. Not all the same, not perfect, but together. And somewhere beyond the edge of what had once been known space, something watched. Not the void mind. Something older, something deeper. It had been waiting. And now, it whispered back. The future was not the end. It was the beginning. The humans had taken the first step. And now, the stars opened wider than ever before. A new journey was about to begin.